Hi there. You're looking at a cute little position that came up last weekend in Cleveland in one of my singles matches in the tournament, and I was white. My opponent was red, and the score is 0-0 to 7 or 7 away, and white is holding a 2 cube. The question is, should white redouble? And if white redoubles, should red take? Well, I'm not going to go into detail on this, but this is a great little exercise to show you the importance of study in backgammon. You can't just play this game well by the seat of your pants. You really have to understand a lot more about the cube to make decisions like this on whether you should redouble and whether you should take. And in order to be able to even get to the starting point, the starting gate, you have to know take points and price of gammons and what they are and how they vary at every score. Even if you're smart enough to know the value of any given position, how often red gets gammoned here and often red wins here is pretty complicated. Well, at this score, this is not a redouble. You hang on to the cube. But it's interesting to note it would be a blunder to redouble, and of course it's a big take. Red does get gammoned quite a bit, 38%, but white wins the game about 60% of the time. Now here's what's interesting. Remember these numbers. This is no redouble, and it's a take. Let's give red one more point, winning 6 away, 7 away, and now it's right to redouble. Still a big take. Let's give red one more point. Now it's not even a take. It's a huge pass. If red had 2 points instead of 0, instead of it not being a double, it becomes a huge pass. Let's keep going. Let's give red one more point. Again, a pass. One more point. It's too good to double. Now there are too many gammons for white to even redouble this position. So what did we do? We added 1 point to red's score each time. And we drastically, in almost every case, when you raise it by 1 point, you not only change the values because of the take points and the gammon values involved, and also a third factor, the recube vig, the ability or inability of red to be able to redouble when he's holding the cube on 4 to give it back at 8 at each of these scores. All of those factor in, and the cube action completely changes. So even if you're smart enough to know this is 38% gammons and 60% wins, even if you're smart enough to know those numbers, and you have to estimate that, that's part of the equation too, to decide whether you have a double or take, you're not even going to come close if you don't have a way of knowing or memorizing or figuring out at least approximately what your take points and price of gammons are at each of these scores. Now, how do you go about learning these? There's tables. The numbers are all available to you in Extreme Gammon. You can go to Cube Information and you can see that the take point for red at this score, the recube take point, is 29%. If the cube is turned to 4, the value of gammons for white is 1. So that's why this number gets multiplied by 1, and that's why at this score it's too good to double. Just to give you a little bit of a reflection on the difference, let's go back to the score of 0-0 to 7. Look at the same information, cube information. The take point now for red goes from a high of 25% when it's a dead cube to 19% when it's live. And since it's live, it's really somewhere in between, probably about 22%. The gammon value with the cube at 4, instead of being 1.0, is now a little under half. It's close to 0.5 is what I would usually round it off to, something like about that. So we're talking about very, very different take points and very, very different prices of gammons. And the recube vig, which we haven't talked about, is different at all those scores as well. I'm not trying to confuse you. I'm not trying to tell you that backgammon is the hardest game in the world. I'm trying to tell you that there's more than meets the eye. And You cannot play this game at a high level without an understanding of these issues and without some study. Extreme Gammon will help you greatly. This is not an ad for Extreme Gammon, but the numbers are there. They're in books, but the latest match equity tables, which is what is used to comprise these numbers, is also to be found in your Extreme Gammon by going to your match equity table, and you'll see that Neil Kazaros has done quite a few refinements and rollouts to come up with your equity at every score, so you can determine if you take or drop what your equity would be. And you can also use this to determine what the value of gammons is at each of these scores. So one of my favorite sayings is, you don't know what you don't know. Maybe now you know something that you don't know. And maybe now you know why, when you sit down with a highly experienced open level backgammon player who knows or has studied these things, you're at a disadvantage if you have not studied these things, even if you consider yourself to be a highly experienced, highly skilled player. How are you going to know at what point this is right to double, at what point it's right to drop, at what point it's too good? Thanks for watching. This is a free video for anyone who goes to the Facebook page. I have more detailed videos that get into the answers and get into all kinds of processes and very interesting positions that I post 2 or 3 times a week, which are available to all USBGF members. So please look into membership. It's just one of the many benefits of joining, to see these videos in more detail, and just a lot more things you gain by joining the USBGF. And you don't have to be an American citizen. We have about 10% of our membership is from other countries because of all the benefits and all the tournaments that we run, and also they want to just support us. We're doing a lot to promote the game and help the game grow. So hope to see you on the membership list soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.